Welcome to another episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jasmine Pollock, and today we have a great show for you. And I'm going to be talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend and what the NFL looks like post the Super Bowl, heading into the the postseason. Well, not postseason, but the off season, because there's a lot going to be happening. There's a lot of trades going to be happening, a lot of big moves, and the draft is going to be in April. So it's going to be a lot of stuff going on. So let's get into it. First, I want to talk about the NBA. So I've made countless videos about the NBA of where I think the direction is, where I think the state of the NBA. I have a lot of videos about the state of the NBA, and I feel like in the NBA right now, I'll get into is there's not um the competition is not as effective as it was a few years ago. The 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s, there was a time where it was competitive. There was a time where people were being physical. There was a time where players were really earning their money and really, putting their blood, sweat, and tears on the court. And the officiating also has been an issue for the past few years in the NBA. And we've tend to see these huge contracts in the NBA. It's right up there with baseball when you get these big, huge contracts from these single players. And I have no issue with the player wanting to get paid. I have no issue with the player wanting to get paid and wanting to, you know, build his finances, be able to be a mogul, be able to do different things like that and have a name for himself 100%. But a lot of these players have not done anything in the league right now that I feel deserves a big contract like that. I get if you have a stellar 1 or 2 years, okay, but you have people like LeBron James and Steph Curry, guys who have won and delivered at different franchises. When we look at LeBron, he's every franchise LeBron has been to, he has won a championship. Steph Curry has been with Golden State, has won them championships, him being there. So they're well more deserving of those big, huge contracts, but also they do things outside of the game of basketball that also gives them revenue. But when we get into the All-Star break, I know the East won. Damian Lillard won MVP. He's also with Milwaukee right now. He was traded the last offseason in the NBA to the Milwaukee Bucks from the Portland Trailblazers. And the East team, it was the first time ever in NBA history, All-Star history, that a team cracked 200. And as a fan of basketball, I look at that as like, wow, like times have really changed, because there was a time where it was physical. There was a time where people were playing defense. There was a time where guys were really, showing people, okay, the best stars from the East, the best stars from the West, going head to head against each other. Of course, you're not going like full force, but still, like, give us at least 75, 80%. Right now, we're getting a bunch of threes and dunks, and everyone's getting out the way and just letting them do what they do, and it's not entertaining, and it's not entertaining for the standpoint of a fan who seen basketball in a particular way. Like myself, I seen basketball, and I wasn't born in the 90s or the 80s to see what basketball was, but just hearing my parents talk about it, seeing some of the highlights, seeing some of those games that they post on YouTube, I see what it was and what basketball really meant. And I'm thankful that I was able to get the early 2000s and 2010s. I was glad that I was able to get that. But I think what needs to change in the NBA is definitely we have to narrow down what we want in the NBA. So do we want to protect the asset, which it looks like that they're doing? We don't want to hurt the players. We don't want to do this based off of some of the fouls, based off of some of the um, things that are going on, even with the All-Star break, of guys like, getting out the way to let other people score. But what about wanting to be physical, wanting to be dominant, wanting to really earn your money and say, you know what, I deserve that kind of money. I deserve to get that big contract and be the highest paid point guard, the highest paid forward, center, whatever. You have guys that worked hard, that do work hard in the NBA. I'm not saying there aren't players that work hard, but it just seems like it's becoming a diva league in a certain way. I'm keeping it real, but why aren't we being physical? Where's the physicality of the game anymore? And that's where you're starting to see some of the viewership go down. That's where you're starting to see people not as interested as they once were in the NBA, because the NBA is not as physical. It's not a physical game anymore. It's more finesse. It's more shooting threes. It's more ticky-tack fouls. It's more protecting the assets. Guys are making X amount of dollars. We don't want them getting hurt. And then we're ejecting people for saying one word. It's just, what is the NBA now? Is it the WWE? What are we doing? That's what I feel like. And there's no disrespect to the WWE, but what is the NBA standing for right now? There's a lot of great talented guys that are playing right now that I feel like they deserve that. They deserve to be physical. They deserve to be able to do that. I look at young guys like Anthony Edwards, who's a very physical player. There's certain things that, happens to him. There's a lot of physical guys out here that are doing their thing, like Draymond. And I know Draymond has his moments that I disagree with, but when you look at people like Draymond, I love what Draymond brings to the game. It brings that antagonistic side to the game. It brings that physicalness to that side of the game of getting under the other player's skin and making sure you're tough, that tough love that we need. And a lot of people are not resonating with that, what Draymond does. And I think it's good for the league because we need that physicalness. We need that leadership role like that, of guys being physical, of guys getting under people's skin and being that leader, that top dog, that dog that we need on our team. So for the NBA, I've said this time and time again on previous videos I've done, we need to get back to physicalness, get back to analyzing the officiating and making sure that we're putting the right officials in place that call a clean game. Yes, if there's a terrible call, we need to call that. If there's a call that needs to be called. But to me, I don't think just a hand tap to the rim is a foul. We know what we saw in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s. Guys are getting wrapped up. Guys are being physical. They're getting elbowed. There wasn't no fouls called like that. There were fouls called, but it was a specific way a foul was called. Nowadays, it's if you have a finger on him, or if it does not add anything to the game. You have these high scoring games now. They're past 100. They're past 120. Sometimes 130, even 140. We've seen where it's like, don't get me wrong, I love seeing the offensive explosion, but where's the defense? Where is that physicalness on the defensive side of the ball to get those guys off the rim, get those guys off the three-point line? Where is that? So that is my analysis of what I feel about the NBA and the All-Star break. Let's get into the NFL and where we're headed in the NFL. So when we look at it, the Kansas City Chiefs, we all know, have won the Super Bowl. They're three-time champions now, back-to-back champions. They beat the San Francisco 49ers in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. And now we're heading into the offseason. All the teams are resetting, even the defending champs, even the 49ers, we're all resetting. So when we look at it, when we're heading into the draft, we can expect to see a lot. This is a huge quarterback class heading out into this draft. So I'm seeing a lot of teams, trying to make their bids for a certain quarterback. You have Drake May. You have a lot of guys that are coming out right now that I feel like are going to be very, very good. Washington's quarterback, Caleb Williams, they're going to be coming out. J.J. McCarthy is going to be coming out. There's going to be guys that are going to coming out that I feel like are going to make a splash in the NFL. But what is so tough now today is a lot of the 32 teams have their quarterbacks right now. They do. Like, they're, okay, we have a name guy. They're in place. So I really want to see what these teams are going to do with all this quarterback talent coming out of the draft heading into this season. But I want to look at specifically the Chicago Bears. There's a big talk around them. They get the first pick, and there's talks of them getting Caleb Williams. There's talks of, I think they're going to get Caleb Williams, move off of Justin Fields. But I want to really caution Chicago. I don't think Justin Fields is the problem. I think there's certain things that happen, but it doesn't help when the kid has had multiple coaches, a lot of things that happen in the organization where there's so many changes in the front office, at the offensive coordinator position, at the coaching position. So for a young quarterback, that smells bad for him for his first couple of years in the league. When you look at why the Kansas City Chiefs are so good right now, why the New England Patriots were so good, you had a quarterback that you drafted, and you kept that same coach and that same philosophy, and it was a joined union. That's why Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls in his belt right now, at the age of 28 because he had a coach like Andy Reid who is proven, who has experience, who drafted him, and I'm going to stick with you and have an extension. As long as I'm here, I'm going to be there with you. And look what they've built. You look at, and I think that that's what the Texans are going to do as well. When we look at the Texans, I feel like the Texans are going to keep CJ Stroud. Obviously, that's their quarterback. He's their guy for the future. He is their future. And D'Amico Ryan. That union, we saw what's happening with that union. We saw that, wow, the first year head coach, first year quarterback got to the divisional round and put people on notice. And I feel like next season they're going to put pieces in place. They're going to develop a lot more. I think they're going to win the division 100%. But I feel like for the Chicago Bears, get a solid foundation. Justin Fields is not a bad quarterback. I've seen moments where he has done a lot of good things. He has broken records for rushing. He was up there with Lamar Jackson as far as rush yards and different things like that. But he has those plays where you're just like scratching your head. But give the man talent. Give him people around him. Give him an offensive line. Give him more receivers. And I know they got more and different things like that. So that was a step in the right direction. But give him a solid foundation. Give him a running back. Give him tight ends. Give him a coach. Give him a coordinator that knows what they're doing, and they're willing to sit down with him. I think if I am Chicago, give Justin Fields one more year. See what you have. See what you draft. But honestly, I don't know if they're going to do that. They most likely will probably try to get Caleb Williams, but he doesn't want to go to Chicago, so we'll definitely see what that's going to happen. Then, of course, we look at Washington, who is really recharging. They have Magic Johnson as a minority owner. You have a lot of people. They just got Dan Quinn from the Dallas Cowboys, who's the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. He is now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. So the Washington is pressing the reset button. Now it's time for them to go get a quarterback. And I think you look at Drake May, you look at people like that, and I think that will be very good for them because I think Washington does have talent. They just haven't put it together. They haven't made that huge step. And now you have big people in place. Of course, then you get the Golden State's general manager as your general manager now in that organization. You have winning people in the organization, in the front office that can make those winning contributions and those winning plays and those winning decisions to help this team propel. So I think Washington in the next few years, we'll see them start to climb and start to be a very relevant team. Then finally, I look at the New England Patriots, one of my good friends and co-hosts on my other show, Anthony Greenfield. He is a huge New England Patriots fan, and he's looking to see them get Jaden Daniels as a quarterback for the New England Patriots. They're pressing the resetting button as well because you spent 20 years with Tom Brady, 20 years with Belichick, 20 plus years with Belichick. And now both guys are not there. It's not the same team anymore when they went and won all those championships. Now they're pressing the reset button. Now, okay, let's start from scratch and build a new legacy. If I'm them, you gotta go get Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner out of LSU, rushing attack, and he can pass. A real dual threat quarterback that you can have to change face in the organization with a first year head coach again, and then and it's not like the New England throughout this whole time. The New England Patriots never had bad defenses. Their defenses have always been consistent, always. It's just their offense, quarterback issues post Tom Brady. Of course, that's going to happen when you have a star quarterback, the GOAT, leave. So you have to reset. It's like the air is lifted out of the building. It's like, oh man, now what do we do because he's no longer there? Go get a name guy. Go get a guy like a Jaden Daniels who has proved himself in college, who won the Heisman Trophy. Go get someone like that and build around him and see what happens because you're in the same division with the Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa. So you want to go get somebody that can pass the ball, somebody that can run the ball, somebody that can spread the field. So I think for the New England Patriots, I would definitely go quarterback, and I would look at Justin Daniels as your quarterback for the coming years. Finally, before we wrap up, I want to talk about my Green Bay Packers. Now, we all know I've been shocked. I'm still shocked about how far we went and the corner we turned with Jordan Love in his first year as a starter, even though he's been with the team for 4 years. But I'm super, super excited to see what my team is going to be. And I'm really, really going to put it in, nip it in the bud that I think us in Detroit are going to be battling for that number one spot in the division. I really do. After what I saw from Detroit, and they bring back their offensive coordinator, which is huge, they get to the NFC Championship, we get to the divisional round, and I'm super excited because no way, shape, or form did I see us getting to the divisional round last season. No, I did not see that. I didn't see that team turning the corner the way we did. And if you look at that divisional round against the 49ers, we could have very much so won that game, but there were certain things that we didn't accomplish, that we didn't capitalize off of. But for a young team, the youngest team in the league, to do that, to battle with the number one seed in their building, that says a lot. And heading into this offseason, there's going to be a lot of learning. I saw some of our wide receivers, Jontavian Wicks, Dobbs, all of them. They were training. They were training on their routes. I saw them with young kids. They're training. They're getting back into shape. They're in the gym. That's what I love to see. You're not out here partying, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not out here partying. You're really honing in on your craft. You're studying. You're learning. So that way, next year, I'm going to get better. And I think we're going to have one of the most explosive receiving corps next season. Now we're going to have a full year in this offense with these young guys, a full year of experience. Now they've been to the playoffs, know what it feels like. They know that pressure. They've been on the road. So now I think Jordan Love is going to learn certain things about, making the right decisions and continuing to excel, continuing to put the ball where it needs to be put. And also, I feel like we're going to win a lot more games. We're going to be one of the top seeds in the NFC. And when we look at the NFC, I think the NFC is still, again, wide open. The 49ers are not going to be the same. They're getting older. A lot of guys are getting older. And who are you going to keep? You know what I mean? Because how long is that going to keep up? You've been going and you haven't been winning. So when I look at the NFC is wide open. It is very wide open. And I feel like for my Green Bay Packers, I feel like we can capitalize right now. Go get some. I think we need to get some pass rushers, get another running back behind A.J. Dillon, behind Aaron Jones, because, A.J. Dillon towards the end of the season, he had an injury that he was out. And I feel like we need someone like that. I'm okay with receivers. If we get like a veteran guy in there, I have no issue with that. Tight end wise, I'm very okay. Young tight end core that did very well this season. Offensive line, get some more pieces. I think they've improved greatly, towards the end of the season, heading into the playoffs. Defensively, we got a new defensive coordinator. He was the Boston College's head coach. And I'm really excited because I think we're going to get a lot more pressure. We're going to be a lot faster. I think we add some more pieces. We get some more pass rushers. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be a very dangerous team. I think us and the Houston Texans are in the exact same boat. That is just that one step, that one notch to get to that moment. But that wraps up this episode of First Impression Sports Talk. I want to thank Fluent Media for having me. Thank you for hosting my show. Thank you for giving me a platform to host my show. Thank you for everyone who watches and tunes in. And please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you post some of your teams and some of your thoughts on what the NFL and the NBA need to do in order to keep improving. What are your thoughts about the All-Star weekend and the All-Star game and what needs to happen in order to improve it? Or if you think it's the same, it's fine, then that's it. But that wraps up First Impression Sports Talk. See you guys next time.